Canada's Immigration Rules October 2025 for students, workers, and temporary residents. Hey! I'm Jonjua from Travel Tree Immigration News Channel. Let's see the latest update on immigration rules for Canada, October 2025, and what it really means for students, workers, and temporary residents. Stay with me, because this one matters for everyone living in Canada under temporary status. Imagine this: you're studying in Canada, working part-time, maybe living the dream. Then one day, you get a notice: you are no longer authorized to stay. It doesn't have to be for a major crime or anything dramatic. Even a paperwork slip, a missed renewal, or a tiny error on an application could trigger deportation under the new rules. This is the new reality as of October 2025 for many in Canada. In Canada, immigration status for temporary residents, whether students, workers, visitors, has always come with conditions. But this October, things are changing in a big way. The government agency in charge, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, has rolled out reforms that deepen the consequences of non-compliance. It's no longer just, extend your permit and you're fine. Now, timely renewals, truthful applications, authorized employment, keeping your status valid, all under much tighter scrutiny. If you're in Canada on a study permit, work permit, or visitor visa, or thinking of going there, you'll want to know these changes and how to avoid trouble. I'll walk you through the major categories of concern, what the rules mean in practice, and most importantly, how to protect your status. Let's dive in. 1. Expired or fake documentation. One of the biggest triggers for removal under the new regime. Here's what's going on. IRCC now has stronger tools to cancel documents such as work permits, study permits, visitor visas, TRVs, and electronic travel authorizations, ETAs, if the holder becomes inadmissible, has misrepresented facts, or is judged unlikely to leave when they should. Even short lapses in renewal, an expired permit, expired status, or delayed application past expiry, could mean you're out of status and become a candidate for removal. Fake documents or forged support can trigger automatic investigation and removal. What this means for you. Always track expiry dates of your documents. Don't rely on, I'll sort it later. If you change status, e.g., shift from student to worker, or switch employer, or your program ends, update your permit or get a new one, don't wait. Avoid any service that promises fast track or work permit without proper visa. These can backfire badly. 2. Criminal convictions and security concerns. Canada has always had standards for admissibility, but they're now stricter and more aggressive. Offenses that might previously have been considered minor, such as impaired driving, theft, harassment, can now feed into inadmissibility assessments. Security concerns, linkage to extremist activity, organized crime, etc., will lead to faster removal processes under tighter enforcement. Admissibility hearing stats at the Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada. If you have a criminal record, in Canada or abroad, you must disclose it. Failure to do so can be treated as misrepresentation. Watch ahead. What this means for you. Be very clear about your past. If you have any offense, consult an immigration lawyer to understand how it might impact your status. Keep good records of rehabilitation, the completion of sentences, or official pardons. These can make a big difference. Stay informed of your rights and obligations. A run-in with the law might have ripple effects on your immigration status. 3. Overstaying temporary visas and misrepresentation. This is one of the biggest risk areas for students and workers. Overstaying. IRCC has updated rules around maintained status, formerly implied status, effective May 28, 2025. If your permit has expired and you file for an extension, but your first extension application is refused, a subsequent application will not automatically maintain your legal status. You may become out of status immediately. If you leave Canada while your extension is pending, you might lose maintained status and will not be able to resume your work or study rights until a new permit is approved. There's also more automation tracking exit/entry so overstays are flagged. Misrepresentation. Any false, misleading or incomplete information in your immigration application is treated now as a serious offense. This includes hiding past refusals, inaccurate employment history, forged financial documents. It can lead to removal and bans, often 5 years, from reapplying. The Integrity Unit at IRCC is more active. Detection of misrepresentation leads to visa cancellation, future bans, or removal. What this means for you. Don't delay your extension application. File well before expiry and never assume that subsequent filings automatically maintain status after a refusal. Make sure every form you submit is accurate. Be honest about your past, your employment, your finances, your education, your travel. If you made a mistake, you may be better off correcting it proactively than hiding it. If you leave Canada while waiting for a decision, check with IRCC. Will you lose your maintained status? Plan your travel carefully. If you become out of status, don't ignore it. The sooner you act, seek restoration of status if eligible, the better. 4. Unauthorized employment and financial dependence on the state. These two themes are increasingly under IRCC scrutiny. Unauthorized employment. Working in Canada without proper authorization, or working beyond the conditions of your permit, for example, students exceeding work-hour limits, work permit holders switching jobs without updating, visitors taking paid work, these now carry a higher risk of removal. Remote work for Canadian clients when you're under a visa that doesn't permit employment is also risky under the updated rules. Financial dependence. If a temporary resident repeatedly relies on public social assistance or welfare programs, it may signal they are not self-sufficient or abiding by the conditions of their stay. While not always automatic removal, it increases risk of review and possible removal. Canada wants to ensure that temporary residents are genuinely in the country under the terms they declared, and that they can support themselves. What this means for you. Read your permit conditions. Know whether you're allowed to work, how many hours, where, and whether you must switch status before changing employer. If you're a student, stay within your working hours limits, and check whether your work permit or study permit allows work. Avoid working while your extension application is pending unless explicitly authorized. Ensure you are financially stable. Relying on state benefits can complicate your immigration status. Keep full records of employment, wages, and taxes. 5. Failed refugee claims, non-compliance with court or border orders, and public health risks. Beyond the typical student/worker rules, there are broader enforcement areas that affect certain categories of temporary residents too. Failed refugee claims and removal orders. If someone makes a claim for refugee protection and it's rejected, their removal is now more actively enforced. The Canada Border Services Agency, CBSA, has more resources to carry out deportation orders. If you fail to attend a required hearing, or ignore a departure order, this non-compliance triggers immediate enforceable action. Public health risks and medical cooperation. Canada's immigration system increasingly links immigration status to public health conditions. For instance, refusal to take required medical examinations, refusing quarantine/isolation when required, could impact admissibility or status. While Canada hasn't published exhaustive details publicly yet, it's part of the emerging enforcement narrative. Maintaining cooperative behavior with medical, border, and public health authorities is part of being a compliant resident. What this means for you. If you're claiming refugee status, keep all your appointments, attend hearings, and follow through on your obligations. If you've received a removal or departure order, don't ignore it. Seek legal advice, as ignoring it can make your situation worse. Stay compliant with health and border rules. If your status involves conditions tied to health, for example, declarations, exams, vaccination or quarantine, treat them seriously. How to safeguard your immigration status. Here are concrete steps you can take right now to protect your status in Canada. Track all your important dates. Renewal deadlines, permit expiry, boundary of your authorized stay, work hour limits, study permit conditions. File early. Submit applications for extension well before your current permit expires. Avoid waiting until the last minute. Be truthful. Make sure every application is accurate. If you made an error, correct it. Don't assume no one will notice. Know your permit conditions. Are you allowed to work? How many hours? When do you need to switch status? What activities are forbidden? Keep documentation. Employment records, financial records, copies of all applications, proof of travel, proof of attendance in school, work hours, etc. Don't assume you're safe because you've been there a long time. New rules mean even minor lapses can become big problems. Seek legal or licensed immigration advice if your situation is complex: criminal history, removal order, misrepresentation, changing status. Avoid risk behaviors. Fake documents. Undeclared work. Refusing medical or border requirements. Ignoring a removal or hearing order. Stay updated. Rules evolve. As you've seen, IRCC continues to update maintain status rules, document cancellation powers and integrity measures. Final thoughts. The October 2025 changes mark a shift in how Canada manages temporary residents. The message is clear: being in Canada under a visa, permit or other temporary status is a privilege with responsibilities. The enforcement tools are stronger. The stakes are higher. And small errors, expired documents, late applications, unreported changes, can now escalate into removal risks. For students, this means, keep your study permit valid, attend your classes, follow work hour rules, and stay on top of your status. For workers, work only as your permit allows, don't overstay, and don't assume just 1 month late will be fine. For visitor visa holders, don't do unauthorized work, don't overstay, and keep in mind that Canada is watching. Thanks for watching today's breakdown. If you found this helpful, drop a comment below, share your experiences, and let's keep the conversation going. Subscribe to Travel Tree, your Canada immigration news channel. Until next time, safe travels, safe studies, safe work, and stay legal in Canada.